Hello, everybody. It's me again. Thinking about our retreat, the upcoming 5 elements immersion. In the last video, I talked a little bit about the optimum blueprint, we could call, if we want to call it the optimum blueprint. And today I want to elaborate a little bit on that and start to talk about, maybe we can talk about some of the processes and the tools and the practices that we'll be doing on the retreat, and how that might support us in this manifestation of what we're calling the optimal blueprint, right? The soul expression, the most authentic and pure and true version of us, and how to bring that into the life that we live, how to bring that into form, right? And that conversation is, so it's like a metaphysical process, I guess we can call it, because we're talking about how to bring the formless into form. You see what I mean? Like how to take the concept, which concept has no form, it's abstract. Like, for example, how to take the plan for a house and actually turn that into a house that we live in. So when we're thinking about our optimal blueprint, or we're feeling into our soul expression, it's like, it's like imagining the most beautiful house that we could live in. And just imagining that beautiful house, imagining all the different nooks and crannies and all the perfect little things that we have. If we could manifest the most perfect house for us, how would it look? How would it feel? What would be in it? So we use our imagination to generate a vision, right? And that same process is basically how we do anything in our life. And we use our imagination to imagine, to hold as an image in our mind, in our consciousness, something that we might want to do. And the magnitude of that thing, right? The bigness of that thing, like it could be, I can imagine brushing my teeth, and it's quite simple to go and brush my teeth, but to imagine creating something bigger, could be a house, could be like this retreat, for example, writing a book, any of the things that we want to do, right? We have to first imagine them. And that is a formless, well, it's an image in the mind has less form, like less solidity to it than something concrete that is in the manifest reality. So I was saying that's a metaphysical process, how to take that thing that is formless, right, and bring it into something that is tangible. Like how to, and it's so fascinating to think that as humans that we are doing this all the time, that we are bringing the formlessness into form. We are bringing something that currently doesn't exist in this 3D reality, and through our thoughts and our actions, we bring it into existence. You ever thought about that? Like that is the definition of magic, right? Magic with a K. It's like to bring something out of nothing, to create something out of nothing. Well, we're doing that all the time, right? Like as human beings, we are always doing that. So then the question is, well, if I can create anything out of complete thin air, out of nothing, right? Then what is it that I want to create? And this goes back to our earlier conversation. Like, what is it that I want to do with the magical powers that the universe has bestowed upon me? Again, it's a big question, but it's an important question because this helps us align ourselves in our spiritual work, right? So where do I want to go with that? Okay, so, we're talking about formlessness coming into form, some sort of divine blueprint, some sort of optimal blueprint, and we're talking about the elements and the chakras. The map that we work with in this particular tradition is the map of Samkhya. Samkhya is the cosmological system that underlies yoga, underlies tantra. And it's a way of viewing reality in terms of principles or levels of reality. I want you to follow me, like try to stay with this, okay? But I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So again, we're talking about the soul, right? The soul expression, that pure expression of us. Like that is light, okay? That is just pure light. And that light that comes through me, comes through you, comes through us to manifest our life, it filters through a series of, maybe we call it checkpoints, right? It's like matrices. Like when light hits a prism, it diffracts into different colors. That same thing could be said as the soul comes in, it diffracts into different colors. In yoga, we're thinking about or wanting to think about this process so that we can make our way back to that light. You see what I mean? To make our way back to the source of our being, the source of our whole everything. And I really believe that if we are paying attention to that process of, okay, where does the light come from in me? Where is my soul like coming into my body and coming into the existence? Like where is that point where the formless, infinite source of life becomes me? Right? It's a really interesting question. Like at what point does that happen? Well, this map that I'm talking about from Samkhya is sort of it's the cosmology, so it's how the cosmos is arranged and organized, but we are not only part of that, but we are co-creating that. Like we are the cosmos expressing itself. And let me see if I can break that down a little further, because that's, again, that's a little airy, a little bit perhaps mystical or out there. How do I want to share about this? You can see why I wanted to make some videos to start to get the gears churning so that all of this doesn't get dumped on you when we get to the retreat, right? So we're the cosmos expressing itself. You can hear that, but like, what does that mean? Well, for each person, like for you, for me, we are like as an individual looking out into the world around us, right? And like it's like me and then it's the world. Yeah. And there is a relationship between me and the world in that it's almost like the world as it appears, which is different to each person. This is just what is totally mind-blowing, that the way we perceive the world is unique to us because it's our perception of the world is filtered through our perceptions. So there's an error in that, right? It's not our perceptions, we could say, are not actually accurate, right? They're not precise. They're distorted in some way. And they're distorted by our personality and our likes and our dislikes and our preferences and our aversions. So because we're all perceiving differently, the yogis are really interested in, well, what's the supreme reality? Like what's beneath the perception? And that's where we get into energy. That's when they start talking about energy. Like everything underneath the surface of things is energy, Shakti. It's the substance of the universe. And then there's the perceiver. There's the one who is aware of the energy. There's the one who, the Shiva, like we can consider that the Shiva. the pure consciousness. So there's consciousness, and then there's the contents of consciousness. You with me so far? Our work is learning about, well, first of all, where we may be misperceiving, yeah, or inaccurately perceiving. Like, it's like, this goes down to stories, right? Where the narratives that we believe and that we tell and continue to live out, we have to investigate if those are actually true. And if they're not, then like fundamentally true. And if they're not, then why is it that we hold on to them? Because if we hold on to them, then we end up living those stories out, and we end up creating that universe. You see what I mean? Through the embodiment of what it is that we are, whether consciously or unconsciously, believing in the stories that we tell. So it's really important that we get this, because story and the word and vibration, we're going to talk about sound, right? The mystical science of sound is involved. We are studying that in the training, and I'll get to that in future videos. Because this is, all of these things that I'm sharing is like, this is the playing field, right? This is the work, is hopefully beginning to kind of conceptualize and understand what the hell we're trying to do when it comes to like practicing yoga, for example. Because maybe by now you're probably, I know all of you, I've talked to all of you, and some of you I'll be meeting for the first time, which is really awesome and exciting. But I also feel like I've already met you, you know what I mean? And some of you already know, and I've known for a while. So anyways, either way, whatever situation or scenario it is, the thing that I'm always coming back to and reminding myself is like, what is it that we're trying to do? And what I was going to say is, like, I know that all of you have at this point realized that yoga is way more than stretching. Of course, it's a extremely sophisticated science, spiritual science, dealing with all of this stuff that I'm talking about, like how to get ourselves back to that divine order, that divine blueprint, that realm of being that is beyond the ego. You know what I mean? And how to live from that place. It's a really, really joyous, peaceful place to be in alignment with oneself, to be in alignment with one's creator, in alignment with one's soul. And there's a lot that goes into that, right? It's like a thousands of years of people trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? And here we are doing the same thing, just trying to figure it out. I'm sitting here in front of my altar at the Duni and my fire temple, and this is the place that I spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out, like, okay, well, and I was about to go down a tangent, but what I want to say is, like, I spend a lot of time trying to wrap my head around and think about these concepts, right? These yogic and spiritual concepts, because they've existed for a long time, and they've been used by human beings just like us for a long time to help us overcome the, like, insane, I call it insane, but it's very normal condition of the human mind of, like, being separate and feeling ultimately suffering as a result of that. So that's mostly, not mostly, that's all of everything that we're going to be doing on this retreat, is like, first of all, having that context, of, okay, where is the light? And how do I allow that light to come into form through me? And then we work on with that map that I was talking about from Samkhya of the light as it comes into form. I'll talk more about this in a future video, but how the light filters down through our chakras in our subtle body and through each of the elements to become the solid thing that we live in and we call reality, even though this is just like a super imposition of reality. But we work our way back through all those steps to get to the fundamental source of it all. So I think it's really cool. I mean, shit. I think it's super cool. I think it's like the coolest thing ever. And I find it just endlessly fascinating. I think that's why I spend so much time thinking about it, because it's like, it is a deep, deep, deep rabbit hole. And we are already in the rabbit hole. So just buckle up and enjoy the ride. And I hope that I can, just do my best to share about all the things that have really helped me in my life, ultimately. I'm just another yogi on the path. I'm your bro. I do some teaching from time to time. So, as a role hat that I can put on, I could be seen as a teacher or a facilitator. But I like to think of myself more as a guide, as someone who has traversed some amount of the territory that we're talking about, and can point out to some things, and be like, hey, look out for that, or hey, have you tried this? And, just doing my best to do that for myself, because it's helped me a lot in just living in a good way, living in a way that I feel happy about. And I feel very honored, like really, truly honored to get to pass some of that on to you and whomever else that I come across, because, yeah, it's very, very cool stuff. So that's all I want to share for now. I'm leaving you with a few things: the map, right? Samkhya, where the light, the formlessness, the energy comes into form. Thinking about perception and stories and how we create our universe through our perceptions, even though the universe that we're creating through our perceptions is not necessarily accurate. And I think we'll leave it there and let you digest that. And I look forward to seeing you for the next video. I'm going to get to my Dooney, so more stuff will probably come through once I practice. Yeah. Peace.